You live in an HOA. I have a lot. And when I say a lot, I have a lot of power. I can put liens on your house. I can literally take your house.
Florida homeowners, beware. I'm gonna give you the 5 things you need to know before you buy a house in Florida. Because you could spend $1 million on a home only to find out the neighborhood floods every single time it rains. I'm also gonna sneak in a bonus at the end that screws so many people. It drives me nuts that most real estate agents don't understand this, so they don't explain it to their clients. And you're gonna know how to avoid it by the time this video is done. And just so you know, I'm not a realtor, so I'm not trying to sell you a house. I just like making videos, and I got nothing else to do. Number 1, understanding local zones and their impacts. You can tell I ChatGPT'd that one, didn't you? Give me a break. I was a construction worker. I didn't go to college. Moving on. Flood zones and evacuation zones should be number 1 on your priority list in Florida. My wife and I moved down here from Michigan, and we saw that there's a lot of neighborhoods that flood. And I'm not talking because of hurricanes. They just flood. Florida gets a lot of rain, and some of these neighborhoods weren't built well with the drainage systems, and they flood. I got a buddy that bought a brand new home, and the first time it rained, his place flooded and he lost everything. I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So I'm going to talk about St. Petersburg, Florida, because that's where I live and that's what I know, but you can equate it to anywhere else in Florida. So every house we looked at had to be out of a flood zone. The next thing was the evacuation zone. If you look at the map here in St. Petersburg, evacuation zones start at A and continue down to B, C, D, and I believe E. So think of it this way. The farther you are away from the water, the more you are likely to be out of an evacuation zone. And these are spots that when a hurricane does come through, they are not gonna force you to leave your home. Another big thing we looked at were zoning changes. Now, we're real estate investors, so we're always keeping a close eye on what the city's doing and what they're trying to build in certain areas. Now, we love downtown St. Petersburg, and that's where we lived for a year. We rented until we could find our new neighborhood. And we happened to notice the city was doing a lot of rezoning in this certain area between 49th Street and 34th and Central Avenue. So this caught our eye. The city is encouraging commercial buildings on 49th Street to build up, so they can go up to 4 stories on that street. And on Central Avenue and First Avenue North and South, they are gonna let you buy a single family home, you can knock it down, and you can potentially build up to 7 units on that property. So they're encouraging businesses to come in and a lot more residential to come into this area. So we knew something's happening here. Another thing we figured out fast is we don't want to live in the center of the state. So we lived in Michigan. Yeah, we lived close to the Great Lakes, but it's not like we were on them or we saw them every day. So we thought, we're not gonna move down to Florida, move to the center of the state, not get a breeze, and never see the ocean. I wanted to be able to see the beach or see the water every single day, and I wanted to live that lifestyle. Now, my wife and I, after dinner, will take a 15-minute drive. We're on the beach, we're checking out the sunset, and we're taking a beautiful walk in the sand. Now, this is gonna bring us to point number 2, homeowners associations. This has a lot of people upset in Florida. But first, if you're new here, I'm Grant Warrington. I moved to Florida and was able to retire early through real estate investing. Now I make videos about this Florida paradise, showing you why you should either move here, invest here, or vacation here. Let's go. So pros and cons of homeowners associations, hot button topic now in Florida. And here is what a homeowners association board member looks like. Check it out.
What do you want now?
What do I want now?
Yeah, what do you need? You come here every freaking day.
First off, that is not how you talk to any board member of the HOA. First off. Second off.
First of all, I can talk to you however I want to. You can't tell me how to live. I have free agency to do whatever I want to. You come here and you disrupt my peace every single day.
This guy would piss me off, but I gotta say I love him. I love the nose strip. I love he's in his battle fatigues, ready for his power walk, and he's gonna go wreak havoc on the homeowners in his association.
Are you gonna let me talk?
No, I'm not. I want you to go away forever.
You live in an HOA. I have a lot. And when I say a lot, I have a lot of power. I can put liens on your house. I can literally take your house. When you sign the contract, you agree to all the rules, regulations, and blah, blah, blah of the HOA. I have a lot of power.
It's guys like this that Ron DeSantis just passed a new law in Florida limiting the powers of homeowners associations. Things were getting out of control and these board members thought they could do whatever they wanted. But let's talk about not having a homeowners association. Now, I don't live in a homeowners association, which is a great thing. That means I can paint my house any color I want. I can do anything with the landscaping and I don't have to answer to anybody. So that's an awesome thing. And I save money every single month because I'm not paying that HOA fee. But here's the one thing people don't tell you. Hopefully my neighbors aren't listening to this. People don't cut their grass, and it pisses me off. My wife and I go on a walk every morning, and I think she gets so sick of me hearing, why don't they cut their grass? They also don't like to pick up trash in front of their house for some unknown reason. So the city has to come through and write them a potential ticket or fine them and remind them, hey, you need to cut your grass or clean up your yard. So on the one hand, you get to save the fee and you don't have a homeowners association breathing down your neck. But on the other hand, you're gonna have to look at some disrepair and some blight. And if you don't wanna see people parking boats on their lawns or cars on their lawns, I suggest you buy a home in a homeowners association. The third thing you wanna be aware of is you wanna look for new signs of growth. So with my wife and I, we wanted to live in a neighborhood that was up and coming. We wanted to be able to buy something that was still relatively cheap. We wanted brick-lined streets, we wanted palm trees in the yard, and we didn't want to have to pay $1 million for the property because we just couldn't afford that. So we knew there had to be a neighborhood out there, and there is, and we found it. More on that in a minute. New construction is a great way to see that the neighborhood is growing. So you'll see a lot of these vacant lots in St. Pete and you'll see developers building on them. And when you see that, that's a great thing because that's gonna give a new comp and it's gonna set a higher value in that neighborhood, which is gonna bring the values of all the other homes in the neighborhood up as well. So you want to try to get in before it's all overbuilt. The other thing you wanna look for and be aware of is the path of progress. Now in St. Petersburg, Florida, Central Avenue is the main strip that runs from downtown St. Pete to the beach. And you don't have to be a genius to figure out that they are building from downtown westward. And that's called the path of progress. You want to insert yourself or buy a home in the path of progress. That way you can buy a home at a lesser price point today and it should be worth more in the future. Now again, this isn't guaranteed, but in St. Pete, you can tell they are developing westward on Central. Good place to be. Now, another thing to look for is gentrification. That means a bad or rougher neighborhood is slowly turning good. Now, just about anywhere in the United States, cities have gone through gentrification, but it's pretty predominant in St. Pete. My wife and I got all excited because we saw this rehabbed house on Zillow. It looked beautiful in the pictures. So we went and took a look at it. Now we knew it wasn't in the best area according to the map, but we thought, you know what, for the price point, we could probably live there. When we got there, it was a whole nother story. Yeah, the price was right, but guess what? It was right next door to some people dealing drugs. And how did we know? Because the first thing I did was go over and knock on the other neighbor's door. He lived in a brand new build home. And I asked him, hey, how do you like the neighborhood? He said, listen,
this is a block home. I got thick walls. I don't have to worry about gunshots or anything. I just stay inside my home and I got no problem.
I thought, okay, good to know. So then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna walk over to the other neighbor, the one selling drugs, and just say hello. And I did, and they were very nice. And I asked them, how do you like the neighborhood? They said, it's quiet, there's not a lot of issues going on. But I wasn't ready to put my wife and I in a situation where something crazy might be happening at night or on the weekends with this house next door. So we bounced. The fourth thing you gotta keep in mind, location, location, location. And I know it's cliche, but man, you've gotta be located close to these amenities. Otherwise, why are you even moving? to St. Pete. We could have bought a cheaper house farther away from downtown and farther away from the beaches, but we wanted to enjoy all St. Pete had to offer. So this secret neighborhood we found and moved into was close to all the little hotspots: Gulfport, Grand Central District, and the Warehouse Arts District. Not to mention, we're 15 minutes from downtown St. Pete and we're 15 minutes to the beach. Now, this is a great way to stay just outside those districts and be able to buy a house a little bit cheaper, but still have instant access to them. The one thing we loved about living downtown was we walked out the front door of our apartment building and we were in the middle of everything. Great dining, coffee shops, things to do, parks. It was fantastic. And that's what we wanted to still have in our new neighborhood, but we wanted a little more peace and quiet, to tell you the truth. And that's what we found. But we also wanted to be close to public transportation because you know what? We do miss that downtown vibe. So now we're close to Pinellas Trail, which is a bike path that can take you all the way to downtown St. Pete, and the opposite way takes you all the way up to Clearwater. We're also right next to the Sunrunner. We can walk to that, jump on that bus system, and we're in downtown St. Pete or we're on the beach. When we moved down here, we sold our second car and we love it. So public transportation is a huge part of our life now. And one more thing, homie, if you're moving down here, you gotta be playing some pickleball. Get yourself some rackets cheap on Amazon and scope out the local courts and make sure you buy a house close enough to one of them. Now, the fifth thing to be aware of is you need to weigh the risks of these neighborhoods. Again, gentrification to an established neighborhood. Are you willing for maybe a little bit more crime in a gentrifying area? Or do you want to be in an area that's gated? It has an HOA. Everybody's lawn's cut and it looks beautiful. I think I want to be in that area because living next to unwanted neighbors is something that can happen. Take the drug dealers, for instance. And if you want to live on the water, I don't want to deter you from that at all. I just don't have on the water kind of money. So that's why it was off my list. But you just need to be aware of what flood zone you're in when you're close to the water and if your neighborhood or home is prone to flood. But if I had on the water money, you better believe I'd be living on it. The beach, the water, the sunset, everything down here is absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm going to tell you the neighborhood we bought in, but first I want to give you that bonus that I promised you I was going to talk about. I want you to realize that no matter where you buy in the United States, but especially in Florida, the year after you buy a home, your property taxes are going to uncap and they're gonna go up. This means when you're at the closing table and you've run all your numbers and they say your mortgage is gonna be $2,000 a month and you're like, yay, I can afford that. Be careful, your taxes will go up the next year and your mortgage payment might be $2,600 in January. A good rule of thumb here in St. Pete is your property taxes are gonna be between 1.5% to 2% of your new purchase price. You can also go on the Pinellas County website and estimate your new property taxes. It's awesome. They do a great job, so you should not be shocked. You ready for the secret neighborhood we bought in? Here it is. It's Central Oak Park. It's located in the heart and middle of St. Petersburg, Florida. It runs from 49th Street on the west to 34th Street on the east and 13th Avenue North down to 5th Avenue South. It's got brick-lined streets, it's got the palm trees we were looking for, no HOA fee, no flood zone, and no evac zone. We're super happy we bought here. This is an up-and-coming neighborhood which is rezoned all around us for growth. We just gotta deal with a little bit of uncut grass every once in a while. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. This lets YouTube know that you thought this video was valuable and they'll share it with more people. Here's another video I know you're gonna love. Click here and I'll see you in this video.